says it's starting. Don't see if it started or not.
Live.
Oh, is it live? Okay, this is super weird. I mean, at least with the Red, White, and Brown Report podcast, I had a audio cue. But anyway, you're not listening to the Red, White, and Brown Report podcast, but you're actually watching a brand new pilot of a mini series called the Wenger Morghulis Extra. This is basically our effort, Shyam's idea. This is our effort to make our league a little more lively, a little more engaging, and possibly a little more fun too. It's also a way to get to know everyone in the league and hoping to reach 100% of our audience. Asking for 14 people to watch this is not that much of a ask. So hopefully everyone gets to listen to
I'm
this.
not going to watch it again. So
You're probably not going to
14
watch it
people.
again, but you're still here. Anyway, so Shyam is on the other line, dialing in from Singapore. At what time is it right now, Shyam?
Doesn't matter.
It does not really
1:40
matter. I mean, people need to
1:40
know that
p.m.
I'm sitting here in the dark, 10:30 p.m., like sacrificing my sleep for the Wenger Morghulis, and you're sacrificing work.
I
So
know.
anyway, so you probably know me. You know Sham as well. In fact, Sham requested that we don't do any introductions, but I'm basically the person that's Yuri's puppet. He didn't want the admin reign, so I took over. And then he basically asked me to do everything. He asked me to create a magazine, asked me to create this 5 week summary. And so here I am. Sham is being a generous contributor.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
That's right.
So actually, without further ado, let's explain what this whole thing is about. So every 5 weeks, we will get together, possibly in a bigger group, two people or more. We'll talk about the 5 weeks that have gone by, the latest week, the movers and shakers in the league. So basically, the person that has moved the most and the person that has moved, well, most to the top and the person that has moved most to the bottom. And what else were you going to discuss, Sham?
We wanted to do review of teams, and from next week, next time onwards, we may do questions, right?
Yep. We actually might do, questions, stats, updates. Ask me anything. Ask me as in ask Sham anything because he's the expert. He's basically the god of FPL in our league. Haven't you won every single year something or the other?
I have no trophy.
You have no trophy. That doesn't really matter. Like Shannon has a trophy, but he can't really even
Well,
put it up on his mantle.
Shannon's trophy doesn't matter because you screwed up. But
I did
whatever.
not screw up. I made it up by making him a cover page for a magazine, man. Come on, he should be happy about that. But
It's on his LinkedIn profile now.
it's on his LinkedIn profile. Anyway, I don't know what screen everybody's seeing right now, but you can see all, you can pin and unpin Sham. So I created this beautiful visual. This is our week 5 Wenger Morghulis extra. Not really a podcast. This is this, like, what do you want to call it? Like some cast. Um,
Sir, Lauker.
so this is our league table. Um, I obviously did not do very well. All the Liverpool folks are doing extremely well. Harshad's all
Oh,
the way up on top.
what's the sexy ass league table you have? Why do you have so many columns?
Because so this is a plugin I was telling you about. It's called the Better FPL plugin. So I've highlighted the row that matters the most, or rather the column that matters the most, and the row too, because it's my row is highlighted. But it's the plugin basically gives you a list of the number of chips used, who their manager is, how many transfers they've already used, what their team value is, how much they have in the bank, the
That's
formation, and whether they played the wild card or not. So it's a really cool visualization. I don't know how much you can see, but yeah. Anyway, so the column that matters the most is the P1, the one highlighted in teal. Um, Harshad's actually playing very well
deal.
this season. 4-1, 85 points this week. Captain Hazard.
Wow.
Uh, I know. And Yuri's finally out of the bottom 13, 14. He's up to 10. Yash, unfortunately, Yash actually has a 302 total points score, purity score, but he's still at the bottom. I had a bad week. Raghav's pretty stable. Sham, you actually went down a couple of points too.
Yes, Hazard. Walker.
No, but you still had 79 total points. Who did you lose to?
I lost to Watkins. So
Oh, you
at
lost
the
to
top of the
Marcus.
table, he
That makes
captained
sense.
Hazard, and I lost by 10 points in spite of that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Who else? Phil's down with a total point of 337. Even, yeah, I mean, he
He's
did
second
well.
on purity.
Second on purity, right? Exactly. I mean, I think I posted it in the other group. Three out of the four top, well, three out of the top four in our purity table are Liverpool fans. I don't know what it says about Liverpool fans or their team selections, but they're doing pretty well. Um, who else?
Well, if Manu was doing well, it would have been Urine on top. So
No,
there
but
you go.
neither of us we have Manu players, right? You were going to pull up the stat about ownership
Yeah, okay, later.
later. Okay, all right. So this is our league table. If I haven't mentioned anyone, because that's probably because you weren't noteworthy.
Yes.
Um, let's move on. So Sham, you had this idea. Do you want to talk about who you want to discuss and why?
Yeah, okay. So two teams, right? So I thought at least the first one will just start off with top of the league and bottom of the league on purity. So that's Walkness and Bobby's team. And Walkness, especially since I lost to him, I want to take it out as well. So I'm just going to
Are,
lay.
are you going to dissect his team now? Okay, let me move on to the next page.
I can do that, sure.
Go for it. Total of 85 points. Biggest
Let me see
mover of the
this.
league.
Yeah, basically Hazard captain, right? He moved quickly on Hazard. He's had him, and he brought him in, I think, for Ericsson this week. So last week when I checked his team, he had Ericsson, so that was a really good move. Brought in Hazard, uh, captained him, and that is basically the week for him. I like his Man City double defense. Actually, the Mendy thing is going to be really interesting if he's out for a while, which we don't know yet. He hasn't trained. He didn't play the Champions League, so we don't know what the situation with Mendy is. But I was looking at Mendy, and 12 out of 14 people in our team have him. And of course, he's a super expensive defender. So if he's out for a while, that's going to change up at least our team, our league template quite a bit. So that'll be interesting. He's got
Do you
Edis.
think it will? Because I mean, I don't think any of us have the balls to ship Mendy out because he has such high ownership that even if there's like a 10% chance of him playing, he'll come in and put in those crosses for Jesus or Aguero to punch in.
Yeah, yeah.
So
If he's a doubt, we'll probably all still have him. But if he's ruled out for 2 3 weeks, there's no way I'm keeping him. I mean, that's way too much money on the bench for
that's
two
actually
three
not
weeks.
a lot of money. I mean, if you think about it, like 6.5, 6.8 for a defender is not a lot if he's out for just 2 or 3 weeks, right? Because the cost
Yeah,
of losing
he's gonna
him and then
drop in value. And anyway, I mean, at least for the guys who haven't wildcarded yet, you can always bring him back on a wildcard and
that's
play him.
actually true. You're super. You have an advantage if you haven't wildcarded yet. But so you were talking about Mendy, double defense with Edison. Is that a good strategy?
Well, it's working. City, the other teams don't even have the ball, so when are they going to score? So it's definitely working. I wish I'd gone with Edison, to be honest. Yeah, defense is fairly normal. Robertson, Van Bissaka, everybody's got him. Van Bissaka is also, let me see, is like the second highest owned player in our league.
Are you
So
serious? How many
yes,
people own him?
so 10 out of 14 people have Van Bissaka, and 10 out of 14 people have Aguero, which is going to be interesting. And 12 people have Mendy out of 14.
So
So
I think the biggest problem with City is no one knows how their attack is going to perform. So Aguero is pretty nailed on for most of the home fixtures, but you can't really pick between Sterling, Sane, or even Mahrez for any of their other attacking options. So I actually
yeah,
think this is the best strategy where you just pick Edison because Edison is probably never going to get rotated.
yeah, you also got to. Okay, so at least my rationale for not going with Edison was because there's a cap on the points that a goalkeeper gets usually. Of course, he even got an assist this season, which is strange. But generally, there's a cap, and the 4.5s, if you tend to pick the right one, they do decently. And at least the move I made is I brought in Silva last week, and which because I think that as long as De Bruyne is out, they need Silva. In spite of everything else that everybody else does, I think Silva is still the key player there, and he's had good stats, really good shot. And you watch him play, and he's in the box, and he's creating all these chances. He's just class. So I brought him in, but now I've seen that he played Champions League 90 minutes last night. So there you go, back on the rotation question of is he going to start next week or not.
Do you know when KDB is back?
I think it's still at least 3 4 weeks out.
3 4 weeks out. Okay. Yeah, I think Sane. I know he came off the bench, so he might actually start this week, this weekend versus Cardiff.
Yeah, I
But
think Sane is a terrible pick in my opinion. As long as if Mendy is playing, Sane doesn't get into that team. Pep has spoken about that several times. He may come on, he'll score. I like watching him, but I don't think he's a good fantasy pick in general.
that's fair. That's fair. Who
Again,
else?
back to destroying Wagner's team. So I don't. So his the Shaw one is really interesting because Shaw's back. Now the question is whether Mourinho will continue to frustrate us with Young or whether he'll play Shaw. So Shaw could be a good differential at least for Wakia going forward. Daniels Kamara complete crap, but he knows that already.
Right.
The I think the issue that I would put is he's got three really big hitters in Hazard, Salah, and Aguero. So that's what 10.8, 13.8 plus 11. So that's a third of his budget, over a third of his budget on three players, basically,
But
right?
then,
And you're going to captain only one of them each week.
but
So what I think what's happened is so his midfield. If you look at the other three, they are. I mean, Jorginho. I don't really get it. I don't think he's going to do much. He's incredible to for Chelsea and thankfully for their attack, but I don't know if I don't think he's going to score FPL points, frankly. Um, Pereira, tough fixtures coming up. Not very sure. I mean, he's looked good so far. Watford and Wolves both have looked good far. Jota, I started with the season, but bad timing, so I don't know about that. And the other one in his team is Arnautovic because I have Arnie too. And the question is, they've got the toughest run of games coming up, and they have three of those. They're playing three of the top six, and all three they're playing at home, where West Ham haven't been that good. They're better away generally. And plus, every last 3 weeks at least, I've seen he's yellow flagged because he's hurting his knee or something or the other. So he's one that I'm very tentative about right now, especially when you have so many mid-price strikers doing well. You know, Wilson, Mitrovic, King, and all these guys who Zaha, all of them are doing well in that price range. So I think just from a structure standpoint, upgrading Kamara to a decent third striker. You have Ings, Jimenez, so the two more. So there's so many options in that range. I just think getting Kamara out and maybe downgrading Jorginho or Jota or somebody like that might be an interesting thing that he's looking at.
yeah, but you won't be able to make any of those moves in without taking a hit. He's going to have to ship one like a Jorginho down to, let's say, a Ryan Fraser or someone, or actually that won't give him any cash in the bank.
Yeah.
But he might have to ship Arnautovic for Danny Ings and then upgrade one of his midfielders. I do agree with Jota and Pereira. Both have pretty bad fixtures coming up, but I actually disagree with.
Jota has good fixtures. It's just a question of whether he's the main man at Wolves or not, which is
He
not the case.
probably will be. I mean, yeah. Again, he got substituted and had a really good preseason. Got subbed after
Yeah.
45 minutes in the first game. So yeah, you're probably right about that. But one thing I sort of disagree with. He has three big hitters in Salah, Aguero, and Hazard, and you can say that actually narrows down his captaincy options to whoever's playing at home. And Hazard and Aguero have a really good home away home away duel over there. So he can always pick the home player and captain one of those two.
Yeah,
I,
but then
I
what are
actually
you
think that
doing
that
with
strategy
13
might.
million in Salah? Because if you don't captain Salah, then he's not value because you're not getting. He doesn't get bonus points unless he scores 2 3 goals. And
I, even then he does it actually.
yeah, I mean it's just a question of what else can you do with that money. And right now, keeping because he's top of the league, actually keeping Salah makes sense because if you drop Salah, then it might be that all of a sudden. Uh, you have a lot of other players who have Salah, but I actually think our Salah percentage in general, a lot of people will probably be considering selling him. I sold him last week.
You did?
But
Oh, I
yeah, I
didn't.
sold him last week to get in. So I did. I got in Silva and Alonso for. I took a hit for Salah and Bai,
Interesting.
which was an obvious one.
We'll
And I
get to your
also
team in just a bit, but are you done
we
dissecting
don't need to
Watkins'
go there.
team?
Yeah. So Wagner's team, the question I have for him to stay on top is Salah's a big question mark. Or what is he planning to do with that? Because he could really, if he uses that Salah money right away, very quickly after the Southampton game, I wouldn't sell him before Southampton, but after that game, if he actually uses that money, I mean, he's got a good long-term squad.
See, we said this all last year. Ship Salah during Champions League and during big fixtures, but he always found a goal. And I'm looking at the Fantasy Football Scout website, and I have access to the stats. So looking at XGI, the goal involvement for Salah amongst all midfielders in the league, top. Total
Okay.
penalty area touches. He has 40. The next person in line is Silva with 35. Shots inside the box. Salah has the most number of shots inside the box. And all this without scoring many goals. Shot accuracy, he's all the way up there too. Number of goals, obviously he hasn't gotten much goals. Mane has scored more goals than him. Salah's goal involvement is obviously down, but the XG for goal involvement is XGI is really high.
What is the
Ca-
XGI?
XGI is total number of expected goals plus expected assists.
Do you watch any football or only stats for everything?
Arsenal's killed the spirit in me completely. At this point, I think I was mentioning it to KP earlier. I probably watched one Arsenal match all season, the full match. I've been watching Liverpool and City games throughout, and obviously checking the stats. But I mean, when picking a non-Arsenal player, you almost, I mean, at least
Fair
I
enough.
am
Yeah. Fair.
trained not to bring my biases in and just look at stats. And Salah actually has really good underlying stats. Total number of big chances created is also 6. So a good reason to keep Salah even during his tough fixtures. Now again, like managing the budget, managing the
Yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, I have no
value.
doubt that he will. He's incredible, and I think he will be one of the top season scorers come end of the season, as long as he's injury free and stuff.
Yeah.
Because Liverpool will score goals, and that front three for Liverpool are nailed. Pretty much. They might miss one odd game, but they're going to play 35 games this season in the PL. So I think he's incredible. It's just a question of if you're not captaining him,
So
then
what's the
can
point?
you find the value? So yeah,
That's a
that's
fair point. And obviously, Watkins doesn't need a lot of advice on his team. He's top of the league, both on H2H and purity. Then another person that you wanted to talk about, your dear friend, not
who's
doing
my
so
dear
well.
friend? Who's my dear friend? Oh,
Bobby.
Bobby. Bobby. Yes. Okay. Uh, Bobby's team. I looked at Bobby's team, and first of all, they have so between Wagnus and Bobby, they have like 5 or 6 players in common. Okay, so that's already strange, and you still see just the point difference between those two. In 5 weeks is what 70 purity points or something like that. So it's already quite a big gap. And Bobby's obviously went early on Spurs, and that's in hindsight that's what looks bad. But then you can say, okay, they had the most Spurs had the most number of players returning from the World Cup. Their whole stadium thing is still not sorted out. They after that, like their games are getting moved from White Hart Lane to Wembley, which we know doesn't work well for them. So It's interesting. And the players you've got are Trippier, who is fantastic, but he's not nailed. He's not guaranteed 100%
He
games
might
time.
be. He might
I don't
be. He
know.
didn't play the
Or
Champions League match.
yeah, so he might play one, but Pochettino rotates fullbacks, and I've learned that the hard way. I've gone after Davies, I've gone after Trippier, and you cannot rely on them for a long time generally with that amount of money, because in the past they were also 5 million, so it's fine. But now all Spurs defenders are 6 million, and it's not like they're defending well. They don't have Lloris and Baum in goal is just not that good. So yeah, he's that was his big, you know, in hindsight, Lucas Moura was a great pick. The
Yeah.
question, which is really interesting, like if I had Bobby's team right now, would I wildcard or not? Because it looks like, yes, obviously you should wildcard. You know, you don't have Aguero, Hazard, you don't have so many of the key players who are actually doing consistently well. But at the same time, Spurs might just go on a really good run now. So that's interesting because they've got great fixtures. They've got Cardiff, Huddersfield, Brighton, uh, teams which sit back and they may have trouble with that depending on whether Dembele is playing or not. But Kane's such a use. He's the only person in the league who has Kane right now, and we know what Kane can do potentially because that guy scores hat tricks. He can get braces, he gets bonus. So it's a really interesting thing of, like there'll be part of me which is wondering whether Bobby's saying, fuck it, I'm going to go with this for a while. And only Bobby can do a Bobby and go on a 10-game winning streak.
That's right.
Uh,
2 years ago. I remember
and
that.
yeah, and he can do that because of the players he has right now in terms of Kane and Firmino's still good. I also think he'll be one of the best forwards for value come end of the season, but he's not going to get major hauls. So yeah, the Kane thing is really interesting because the moment you decide to sell Kane, you have to kind of wild card because he's got other issues to solve as well. Cedric is a weird one, but apart from that, that team is good. Pedro, fine. Mkhitaryan is a pain in the ass. I just sold him. But yeah, and Neves is one of those players who looks so good. I'm pretty sure next season he won't be at Wolves. One of the top six will buy him, or somebody else will. He's just so good in that team. But FPL wise, he scores those worldies once in a while. I don't know what his stats are like, but I've seen them play, and it just looks like he takes that long shot, and he may score 1 in 4 games like that, maybe. But I don't really think he's a guy you want to start every week. And again, same like Wagner's that Kamara spot where 4.5. Now, yeah, there's an argument that your third sub never actually plays, so why do you need to spend money on it? The difference this season is that you have really good 4.4 million defenders who actually play. So you've got Bennett who's been starting, and Wan-Bissaka is playing, and there are others in those fringes. So then why spend that extra zero point 0.5 million on that third bench spot, which you'll never use? And instead get so I mean could be totally wrong, but so that's one of those things which just from a team structure standpoint it makes it very difficult for him to jump on somebody who's mid-priced forward because there's so many of them who are doing well right now.
Yeah, I think this upcoming week, especially for Bobby, will be really interesting. I would almost suggest him not to make any changes because, like you mentioned, Tottenham have really good fixtures coming up in next week as well. Liverpool, Mane and Firmino have Southampton at home.
Yeah,
Mkhitaryan has, I forget, Arsenal
has
have Everton at home.
Mkhitaryan has 89 minutes on the bench. That's what he has.
So he's not going to play the Europa League fixture on Thursday because he can't travel to whatever country we're playing in. So he's very likely to be in the squad.
why
And
can't, why can't he travel?
he has
What's wrong
some.
with him? No passport?
He's from Armenia, right? So no, I think who's Arsenal playing? I forget. Mkhitaryan has some passport issues. The country wouldn't give him visa for some political reasons. I don't want to discuss politics because,
Okay.
again, I know Marco will probably be listening to this one. Um, but anyway, so Mkhitaryan basically he'll play over the weekend, and that's a really good upside. And Neves, I don't know much about him other than the fact that he passes a lot. And yeah, and he has Edison as well. So he has heavy investment in both Liverpool and Tottenham, who have really good fixtures. So yeah, I mean, if he follows your advice, then probably sometime next week after or come Saturday, he should activate his wild card and ship some of those other players out.
Yeah, don't follow my advice. I don't have a trophy.
What are you
But
talking about? You don't have a
yeah,
trophy, but
but the Spurs thing is just interesting. I'm not saying don't wildcard because they don't look good right now. I mean, they actually, you watch them play and they're not, but they're always slow starters. So it's just that if I had Kane right now, I would be so scared to sell him, and I'm pretty generally a cautious man, Joe. So I would be very scared to sell him just because of the fixtures he has and the
yeah.
huge difference that he could make.
I think the next couple of weeks, especially with Champions League, will be interesting to watch. But with that, do you want to move to your team and what you plan to do?
Um, sure, but I've already made my move. Is that my team?
That is your current team as of last. This is your game week 5 team,
Yeah.
where you
Okay.
scored 79 points. I mean, even without Hazard, that's a really good score. Like you
Yeah,
said,
it was a good week. It was a good week. I mean, Fraser did well. I'm glad I hung on to him. I mean, I've seen if you watch Eddie Howe's press conferences, he's always uh, never gives straight answers about anything. So generally, when I see that okay, somebody might play, I generally think they will play.
you actually
So
watch Eddie Howe's press conferences.
I watch the roundup of press conferences, which happens generally. If I'm
Where do you watch that?
uh,
Like who gives you the highlight reel?
some Reddit link only, some
Oh.
link on Reddit. So I just quick. I mean, I don't watch the whole press conference. I just watch the quick injury updates piece. Uh, Otherwise, they don't say anything interesting. But yeah, so my big mistake was obviously still holding on to Mkhitaryan, who I've already sold. So my
Who do you
plan
bring in?
Hazard
Oh, okay.
trade swap. So actually, what happened last week was I knew I had to sell Bai because I didn't have a defense otherwise, and I knew that I wanted to sell Salah going into that run of fixtures, and I wanted Silva. So Silva, Alonso, and my third move. I was going to take a 8 point hit. My third move was going to be Mkhitaryan to Hazard last week itself. And I'm so pissed that I didn't pull off the trigger that night for that extra 4 points, which would have been 15-point difference. But so I just did it right away after the game was over. He just brought him in. It was a rage transfer. I don't know if it worked out.
Yeah, I think I'm slightly worried for you. Well, not really worried for you, but next week, especially given that Mkhitaryan's out, he might start. I have high hopes for Arsenal in the next couple of fixtures. Like you mentioned earlier, David Silva may not start.
Yeah,
Zaha is
Robertson.
always a question mark.
Robertson also, I'm not sure about, to be honest, because
Yeah,
I don't know if he gets rested or not. I mean, they have options. So Mendy, I'm not sure about. I think it's the longest I've gone without wild carding, even in 5 weeks. So like generally by third or fourth week, I'm already on my wild card. This season, I'm
what are
not
you
sure.
waiting for?
I am trying to. I'm waiting to make up my mind on Salah, basically, because if you sell him on a wild card, it's very difficult to get him back.
Hmm.
So I think I can afford to take the risk now. And if in a couple of weeks it looks like he's back to his last year's goal scoring form, then I just wildcard and get him in. That's the easiest way. So Salah and Kane. Kane is a trap I fall into every year and it costs me. But again, just those fixtures. I'm looking at those two players, and the moment I say I need one of them back, then that's when I wildcard.
Yeah, I think I'm waiting on Kane as well. I've always had Kane, huge admirer of his play. Viggy might know that already, but yeah, last year I captained Kane the most in spite of having Salah. Sort of benefited from it.
No, there's no way you benefited from that.
I did, I
You
did,
made the same mistake.
I did. No, I did captain him during the couple of times he scored hat tricks last year.
Yeah, yeah. I'm saying
So
overall over the season.
I think over the season it all neutralized. I didn't have Salah for the longest time because I fell into the same Champions League trap. He's not going to start all matches. There's no way he's going to score. There's no way he's going. I back then I thought to myself, there's no way he's going to be a Jamie Vardy and score in every single game. But then he almost pulled that off. So there were so many bad decisions. But anyway, this year I'm waiting for the time when I can actually get Hazard and Kane and Salah in the same squad. I'm desperate.
Where's your team?
My team, I scored the lowest number of points this week. I
Yeah,
don't
I
remember
saw
the
that.
last time I scored 27 after I took after you take the -4 hit. This was probably the worst week ever. Captain Salah for obvious reasons, and he had so many good chances. He was in the box, couldn't get past the keeper. And there was this one time where Mane could have easily. I mean, there's this like weird tension going on between Salah and Mane. I guess I don't know. Liverpool fans can enlighten us, but Mane does not pass to Salah. He passes to Nabi Keita instead, and Salah was wide open. He could have easily gotten that goal. It could have been a different story. And Mane could obviously have gotten an assist over there. Mkhitaryan, I knew that he probably won't start, but I wanted to keep him because of the next couple of fixtures. I knew he wasn't playing Champions League, and I didn't have a good alternative for him. And I desperately wanted Alonso, just for the price rise, and which is why I got him in. Bai
Oh,
was one player I was looking to
so
ship.
who did you sell for, Alonso?
Alonso. Oh, I sold Van Dijk. So I got Van Dijk out because of Liverpool's like tough fixtures. I didn't think they would keep clean sheets, and I wanted Alonso, and then I also got in Richarlison because
Oh,
I
that's smart.
no, it wasn't smart because I actually thought Richarlison was going to start last week, but he
Yeah, okay.
didn't.
You brought him in a week early,
I
but I think
brought him in a week early.
buying him back, buying him back looks like a smart move. I mean, Everton
Yeah,
are going to score goals
Everton are
again.
going to score goals. They have good fixtures, except for the Arsenal one. And Richarlison is going to be in the center of it.
Yeah, and
Aubameyang
plus they can't. Plus they can't defend for nuts, so they're going to have to score
scored.
goals too. Got enough. Like Sigurdsson actually looked good again last week.
Yeah,
So,
finally Sigurdsson, right? And then the only doubts I have are Aubameyang and Pedro. Obviously, I mean, I obviously want Hazard in my squad. I'm going to have to wildcard to get him in. I can't fathom selling Salah or Mane right now, so I have to keep them. Aubameyang actually over the last 2 weeks he scored 13 points, five more than Aguero,
yeah, it's more
four
than
more than
Salah and
Aguero,
Mane too. He scored more than Salah and Mane too. So I don't think you can really keep. I
and
mean, when you watch him, Lacazette. When you watch Arsenal, Lacazette clearly seems to be the main man now. I mean, Aubameyang doesn't quite look there yet,
yep,
but he is nailed. They have great fixtures. It's just a question of who do you pick, because realistically, you can only have one of those guys at that range right now, unless you go without unless you go with one premium midfielder and everybody else is cheap. Unless you do that, you're going to have to end up with just one premium forward. So then,
that's true.
even Lukaku is going to be great consistency wise, right?
I mean,
So
he'll give you the one goal every week. Yeah, so I have to decide on my formation. I think I'm pretty happy with three at the back. I might go 3-4-3 only because I like the prospects of Mitrovic and Callum Wilson. I might get Wilson in along with Mitrovic and maybe a Lukaku. And yeah, I mean, quite obviously, I need to ship the Huddersfield guy. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I just got him in because he was a 4.5 back then, and the Southampton defender. They're always going to be bench warmers, but I need a stronger bench now. The goalie
you need a
situation,
playing bench to start with, because you
yeah,
buy Bednarek and Connor who don't play at all, basically. No.
yeah. But anyway, I mean, enough of my team. I think I'm going to wildcard next week, and I'll probably get advice from everyone on the team in our league. I need to switch up my goalies as well. I'm still debating about the Man City cover.
Yeah, I think the Wolves' defense, I was looking at it, they have so, like, each and every option that they have, all the way from Bennett, who I think is 4.1 right now, and seems to be playing. He might get dropped, but he still seems to be playing. And their fullbacks, Doherty and Johnny, Pauly, who scored with that hand of God thing, and Patricio in goal. I mean, each of their defenders so good. So I think if there's one pick, like if I had to downgrade maybe Robertson, which might happen later on, that's what I was looking at. And like the Wolves defender would be the first place I'd probably go to right now.
Are you going to get the Gomez guy, the best? No, what did Phil say? Phil said that he was a defender in the best defensive team in the country.
Yeah, fine.
Are you going to get him, Gomez,
No.
instead of Robertson?
Why would I do that? No, why would I swap Robertson out for Gomez? No.
But anyway, I think we've talked for quite a bit.
I'd rather go for Alexander Arnold if I
Okay.
had to find more money in that Liverpool defense.
But again, like he probably won't start. He's probably going to in the same bucket as Trippier, right?
But same as Robertson too. You know, any of these guys might miss a game once in a while. You just have to make sure you have a strong enough bench. They don't tend to come on that much. That's the difference. Except that's what I thought about Bai. But the problem with Mourinho is once you, Man, you are up 1-2 at the end, he does
He
all
bring
these
it.
defensive. Yeah, he does all these defensive subs instead. And especially if Fellaini is already in the starting 11, then he his defensive options reduce even further. So that was what was annoying. Otherwise, I was prepared for him to be benched. But then if you come on for 1 point, then
Then
like
it's
I actually kept out Billings 9 points, which I don't even know how I got last week.
I saw that. So and also Bai coming on. So I didn't. I had 0 points on my bench, but Bai coming on gave me 1 point, and I beat Yuri by a point that week. That was hilarious. But anyway, but Sham, we should
Done.
we should probably we should probably take a time out of this because we've talked for quite a bit. We want people to actually listen to this and have folks join us next time. So our plan for next week.
You're going to edit this into a 5 minute version, right?
I don't know how to. I think once you live stream it, it's all there on the internet for vultures to
What?
feed on. Yeah, I don't know how to edit it. I'll see. I'll figure it out. Worst case, I download the video,
Hire
do
some
something.
Googler to do.
Phil
Yeah, man.
should have some
Yeah.
time on his hands.
Okay. Cool.
But anyway, yeah. So our plan for game week 10 is we can get a couple of more people on the cast or on the extra, and you as an expert will evaluate their team. We might get some more people to add more, add more banter. This was just a pilot. Wanted to see how this goes. Let's even see if this is recorded in the first place. But but yeah, but let's plan out the format. Hope people find this useful. I think more than anything, as long as they
They're
get
not going to
to
find today's useful. It was just
probably
to
not.
talk. But I think if we have questions and stuff, then it'll be interesting for you to get different people on
Let's
board to do
let's
it.
yeah,
And
let's
I
do
think,
that.
yeah, I definitely don't want to be the expert while points are going down. So let's see. That's the one way to like put that whatever black pill and say, now you're the expert. Now screw you. See how you keep losing every week.
Let's see if Wagner comes on as an expert next time and gives us his tips.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
if you can never find him, I think in your WhatsApp message history, his is what, one per year?
Oh, was it that low? I mean, I think what Alhad was all the way down. Raghav, for obvious reasons. I mean, he was busy making a baby, and then and then Wagner was all the way down. Okay, we need to get the chatter also up in the thread. Less Liverpool chatter, hopefully. I can't. I love the team. Can't stand them winning though. But anyway, that's it from me. And Sham, I hope you too. But we will see folks back in Game Week 10.
Okay. Good luck,
Right?
everyone.
Yeah.